fantasy football Matt Camp at the Matt Camp Fantasy Football lead writer December 28, 2017. Jamal Williams was one of 3 lead backs for the Packers. David Richards / Associated Press. There's no need to monitor backfield workloads in Week 17. Instead, we'll look to the future. Ty Montgomery opened the season as the lead back in Green Bay, but multiple injuries limited and eventually ended his season. Aaron Jones picked up the slack for a short time, although that didn't last long due to injury issues of his own. Jamal Williams was the most productive back for the Packers, yet it's hard to say who will be the top fantasy airbay for Green Bay in 2018. In San Francisco, Carlos Hyde proved himself to the new regime by fighting off the competition in training camp and preseason. He had his busiest and healthiest season to date, although he could still be playing his last game with the team in Week 17. Hyde will be a free agent in 2018, and he's not a lock to be back with the 49ers. The Buccaneers knew they'd be without Doug Martin for the first 3 games of the season, as he had to finish serving a suspension that began in 2016. For most of the season, the team stuck with him despite underwhelming performances. The Bucs started to go away from Martin in the final weeks, which could be an indication they are ready to move on. This workload watch will examine average snap percentage per game and touch distribution for 8 backfields with the most questions and fantasy implications heading into 2018. When given the chance, C.J. Anderson performed well. Associated Press. Snap average per game played / workload distribution. J. Anderson, 55% snaps, 227 carries, 946 yards, 3 TDs, 39 targets, 28 receptions, 224 yards, 1 TD. Devontae Booker, 33% snaps, 76 carries, 278 yards, 1 TD, 37 targets, 29 receptions, 250 yards, 0 TD. Jamal Charles, 21% snaps, 69 carries, 296 yards, 1 TD, 28 targets, 23 receptions, 129 yards, 0. If you want to see how to not get the most out of a backfield, look no further than the Denver Broncos. The Broncos were too naive about their ugly QB situation, or they just failed to commit to their backfield. Whatever the excuse, it was a failure for the offense. As we've seen in the last 2 weeks, Anderson has plenty left in the tank and could have been a great fantasy asset all season if not for his inconsistent role. In the last 2 games, he has 46 carries for 246 yards and a TD in addition to 7 receptions for 45 yards on 10 targets. Anderson had at least 20 carries in 3 of the first 4 weeks, with the Broncos winning each of those 3 games. In the next 7 games, he had 15 carries 1 time. During that 7-game stretch, the Broncos didn't win a game. He's averaging 4.2 yards per carry through 15 games and didn't miss any significant time due to injury. The Broncos kept Charles around all season, yet his presence meant little. He was nothing more than a backup and never had any fantasy value. Once Devontae Booker returned in Week 4, it was only a matter of time before he became more important than Charles. Booker struggled as a runner at 3.7 yards per carry with only 2 games of double-digit carries, but he was a solid contributor as a receiver. Once Booker was healthy, the Broncos could have easily gone with a 1-2 punch of Anderson and Booker to carry their offense, especially since it worked before Anderson was injured in 2016. Finding a QB will be a priority for the Broncos this offseason, but the team should know it has a talented backfield to help whomever it picks to be the new signal caller. Hopefully Denver can correct the mistakes of the 2017 season. Ty Montgomery couldn't stay on the field. Stacy Revere / Getty Images. Snap average per game played / workload distribution. Jamal Williams, 45% snaps, 131 carries, 474 yards, 4 TDs, 29 targets, 22 receptions, 231 yards, 2 TDs. Aaron Jones, 38% snaps, 81 carries, 448 yards, 4 TDs, 18